Good morning, guys. Sheena Quick here with Quick Out the Blocks.
Vashti Hurt, Carolina Blitz, and we are here with the morning after another disappointing loss for the Panthers. You were there yesterday. What was the sentiment in the locker room? Was it tense?
It was very, very tense. And as I was telling you before, when we came to the stadium this morning, I'm getting 2016 6-10 season locker room vibes. I mean, of course, it's because it's a 4-game losing skid. No one's going to be joyous. It's not exciting, but they're very frustrated. 4 interceptions. They lost Greg Olsen. You know, that big questionable PI call that put the Bucs on the 1-yard line. There's a lot of frustrating elements to yesterday's game, and they still only lost by a touchdown and had an opportunity to at least tie the game.
Again, another game, and we talked about it before we came on. There has to be legitimate concerns at this point about the health of Cam Newton. He cannot throw the long ball anymore, and you know, as a franchise quarterback, when you're limited like that, you have to be concerned.
Oh, the concerns are definitely there. As I told you, Vashti, I don't want to commit to anything because we do not have a medical report. We don't have anything from the trainer. Nothing set in stone just yet, but I'm going to go out on a limb. This is unfortunate, but I feel like at the end of the season, when the Panthers do their exit physicals to go into the offseason, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that Cam Newton actually played with a chronic shoulder injury most of the season.
And I'm not a doctor either. I legitimately with Cam, and I just wrote an article prior to this game about how Cam was playing his best football of his career, and I had the numbers to back it up. So he is legitimately playing his best football.
I would agree.
How will that and the team and the franchise has to look going forward? How will that help him, or hinder him going forward as the leader of this Panthers offense?
He's the leader of this Panthers offense, and if you look at the roster, there was so much opportunity last year. You know, the wide receiver core was extremely depleted. They made the moves they needed to make in the offseason to get a really good mix in here of rookies and vets. And new players, fresh legs. They had a deep threat in Devin Funchess. They have, a reliable third down receiver in Jarius Wright. And I think that the competitor in Cam Newton would not let him sit out.
Maybe that is what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Other big news today, 2 firings coming out on the defensive side of the ball, right? Linebacker coach and
the defensive line coach and the defensive backs coach. I don't know if you guys remember, but the defensive backs coach, the prior defensive backs coach was forced to resign this offseason amid some textual harassment. Misconduct and things like that. So there's been a lot of turnover. I mean, I know that Eric Washington, we give him, I'm not going to say we, fans are giving him a really hard time, but as Ron Rivera just said this morning in his presser, when you did something for the first time, you were not perfect. All eyes are on Eric Washington. I think that the standard is up there. If you look at that roster, I just looked at the defensive starters again this morning before I walked in, and I mean, the standards are high.
You know I have to keep it trill.
You do.
So, yeah, you're right. Whenever I first started something, or when you start something, no, you're not perfect. But I'm not being held to the same standard as an NFL defensive coordinator.
That's very true.
I'm not getting paid the same money as a defensive coordinator.
And if you are, I need to
exactly. So I mean, I get that, but to me, that's a bit of an excuse. And at this point, with the talent on this team, is really time out for excuses. And Ron Rivera was really pushed to answer questions about what type of accountability there has been from David Tepper. He said that David Tepper, basically, the conversations that they've had have been good. He said that there have been no ultimatums. And so, it's just right now there's a lot of what ifs.
There are a lot of what ifs. I don't know if you guys know, but yesterday morning prior to the game, CBS Sports released a report alleging that David Tepper was very disappointed, very dissatisfied with the team's performance, and was looking to make a bunch of personnel changes if things did not turn around quickly. And yesterday's loss, it was ugly.
It was ugly, but silver lining. the Panthers are still in the hunt for a wild card playoff spot. Basically, everybody who needed to lose lost. Except for Seattle. And so, it's not over. It's bleak, but it's not over. And winning cures all, right?
Oh, definitely
so
cures all.
So if they can find a way to make a late season push and make the playoffs, I think that people will forget about this rough patch in the road.
I don't think they'll forget.
I
think it'll be a little bit easier to stomach, but because this team was so talented, I mean, coming into the season, this Carolina Panthers team was going to push the the New Orleans Saints for the division, and now they're struggling just to get in.
They should have. I mean, all of their games except for the Pittsburgh game were by 7 points or less. So legitimately, the Panthers could be 10-1.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
They could legitimately easily be 10-1.
I definitely agree with that.
So I think that if they make a late season push and at least come within a game of making the playoffs, maybe Eric Washington's job will be saved.
Perhaps, and I say that just because he's only been at the helm for one season. They talked a little bit about the turnover at that coordinator position, 3 coordinators in 3 years, and just the difficulty of getting any continuity on the defensive side of the ball. Ron Rivera, around the third quarter or so, assumed a lot of the defensive play calling responsibilities.
He's going to do that going forward.
And that's what he will do going forward. He was adamant, though, that Eric Washington is still the defensive coordinator, but that it will be a dual effort going forward.
Coming up, the Panthers will be facing the Cleveland Browns. Sheena has been saying for the last 2 or 3 weeks, don't sleep on this Cleveland matchup.
You can't sleep on this Cleveland matchup. You got a young, swagalicious. I know, that's cringeworthy. I couldn't think of another. Listen, I'm in my 30s. I'm trying.
Oh my goodness.
Trying to stay lit. Well, I mean, you have a young, confident quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and everyone knows that winning, as you said earlier, it cures all. Baker has the city of Cleveland believing that they can actually be contenders again, and they can.
If the Panthers lose to Cleveland, I'm putting this out here, and I'm all about saying how I feel. Another head is going to roll.
Oh, it has to.
Another head will roll.
Without a doubt.
If the Panthers cannot seal the deal against Cleveland, expect another head to roll.
If the Panthers can't seal the deal with Cleveland, someone's going to be relieved of their duties. That's the term that everyone likes to use. They're going to be relieved of their duties by the time we come in here Monday morning for Ron Rivera's press conference.
All right, guys, those are our morning afterthoughts. Make sure you're keeping up. What?
Before we go,
we
got to address the other elephant in the room.
What?
Greg Olsen, likely out for the season with a ruptured plantar fascia. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not in the medical field, but that right foot again. After 10 years injury-free, he's very visibly frustrated, very emotional in the locker room yesterday. Have we seen the end of Greg Olsen?
When I heard that he was done for the season, at this point you have to think, at least as far as in the drafting process, looking at drafting a tight end in maybe 3rd, 4th round. And he's no spring chicken. And to have continuous injuries,
3
foot
times,
injuries,
same foot.
It's time to at least start looking at other options. And, Greg has had a fantastic career.
Awesome career.
Very, very integral guy as far as a community guy. I'm sure at this point he's looking at his options post-football.
I mean, and rightfully so. He has children, he has a wife, he's a family that he wants to, continue to have a high quality of life after the game. So have we seen the last of Greg Olsen? That remains to be seen. But we have seen the last of Greg Olsen for at least the 2018 season. And
it'll be interesting to see how that impacts this offense, because when this isn't the first game he's been out, but he kind of added a spark when he came back.
Definitely more leadership on that side of the ball. Additionally, additional to Cam, maybe that he hadn't been putting up the numbers that a healthy Greg Olsen put up, but they're intangibles. There's the leadership, there's the blocking, there's things that don't show up in the stat sheets. Any time that a player of Greg's magnitude is unavailable, it's going to impact the team. And it's unfortunate. My heart hurts for him because he's such a good guy. He's such a competitor. But that competitive fire, likely is why he continues to re-injure that foot, ready to get out there and help his team in any way that he can. Has to be frustrating, not being able to do more. So I get it from an athlete standpoint. And I'm just going to say I wish the best.
Definitely wish the best for Greg Olsen. All right, we're going to wrap it up. This has been good. This is our second one in a row.
But it's been good. It's the things that I feel like have to be talked about.
We have
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. And Panthers fans, don't lose all hope. I mean, it's looking bleak. I mean, honestly, but don't lose all hope. There still could be a playoff wildcard spot in the future for this Carolina team if they can turn it around. Make sure you're checking out Carolina Blitz for all of your updates, quick out the blocks. And we'll be back here on Wednesday, right?
We will be back here. We will be back here on Wednesday where we will hear from Cam Newton himself. He's going to get the questions about the shoulder. It'll be interesting to see if he's on that injury report on Wednesday, which he has been since the early part of the season. So he'll definitely have to fill those questions. Last night he just would say, it's all right. In Cam fashion, it's all right. But we'll see. We'll see you guys back here next Monday, the morning after.